This is Mommying While Muslim, recorded live and unedited. Watch as Zeba and Uzma record their podcast, see their reactions, and find out for yourself what all the buzz is about.
Are you a real estate agent? There's no better time than now to tap into this growing market by becoming a member of Guidance Home Services pre-screened real estate agent referral network. Join Guidance Residential's live digital panel discussion Tuesday, February 28th at 12 p.m. Eastern. Look on our socials to register for free.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mommying While Muslim podcast. This is Uzma Jaffrey.
And this is Zeba Hassan. Uzma, you're in a little bit of a different background today. What's going on over there?
I am in my hometown.
H-town.
I'm in Texas, inching my way towards Dallas this weekend.
Yeah, very excited.
Yeah, of course, a family wedding had to fall during the time of our Dallas retreat, so it will be quite a flurry of excitement as I travel back and forth between two very major airport hubs, but inshallah, pray for us that I get there on time to all of the events.
Oh my gosh. Inshallah, we're really excited, but I'm selfishly excited because I get to see you in a couple of days in person.
Yeah, that's awesome. How's your week been?
You know, I have to say I've been feeling a little bit uneasy the last week or so, separate and apart from, of course, the stress that inevitably comes when you're planning a major retreat. But my youngest just turned 10, or he will be turning 10 next week, but we celebrated this weekend. And I've recognized, I've been a mother or about a mothering for the last 2 decades. And my youngest is 10, like double digits for me. It's kind of like a sharp intake to the heart. And, he's still super cuddly and still always going to, like he says, I'm always going to be your baby. So I definitely appreciate that. But it puts me into this next chapter or phase of my life. So I'm really excited that we're having this conversation that we're inevitably going to have today, because what do you now do in this next chapter of your life as a married couple, right? So that's kind of been some things that I've been thinking about. So this episode that we're going to be recording today is coming right at the right time. But what about you? I know the situation in Turkey and Syria has been heartbreaking for all of us, but do you have any major information that you'd like to share? Because I know a lot of people come to us to kind of ask, where should we contribute? Where can we volunteer? All of that. So I am excited to hear that from you.
So I would go back to our Instagram. We posted because, we cannot post right now because it's just too heavy. And, it's kind of like, I was just talking to somebody who a lot of Instagram knows, but we were together and kind of talking about how we had to compartmentalize our grief for Turkey and Syria, because it feels like there's something grievous happening so frequently. It's kind of like a sign of the times, And, if we let ourselves as empaths feel this, we will curl up into a fetal position and suck our thumbs, which doesn't help anybody. No. So it's better for us to compartmentalize and figure out what do we do? So we did post on Instagram that Droplets of Mercy is accepting donations. We did not post that White Helmets is, but White Helmets is an absolutely appropriate organization because Syria has no infrastructure, has no bulldozers, has nothing to remove this debris, but they're bare hands, cups, and spoons to try to get people out. They're still getting people out alive.
I know.
It's a week out and they're still able to get people out alive. So please, if you can donate, do it. Of course, ICNO Relief, Islamic Relief, they're all there, boots on the ground. A lot of that aid is going to Turkey. Islamophobia has made people scared to donate. And I think there has been a ban lifted on, we couldn't donate with memo lines reading Syria before. Yeah. So apparently the State Department has taken that alert off. So you can freely give, but I think White Helmets and the Syrian American Medical Society are appropriate places to give because they lost one of their hospitals on the Syria side in this earthquake as well. And so few remain because Assad had bombed several of them. A lot of those hospitals are underground as a result, so they can be hidden and take care of their patients. So that's where you would go. On stateside, if you want to, you don't have the money, but you have the hands, you have the time, go to any Turkish consulate or embassy.
Yes.
Here in Houston, our Turkish consulate is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And they said, come and sort the donations that are coming in.
Yes.
We're shipping them out to Turkey. So my kids and I discussed it, and we are going to be going and devoting 3 hours this this week amid all of the wedding festivities, amid all of the Dallas Momming While Muslim podcast retreat festivities. We are taking these 3 hours and we're going to go sort donations because that is the least that we can do.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that in that process, I'll be able to release some of what I've compartmentalized. But I think it's best if I hold it until after the retreat. I'm just afraid I'm going to be a sobbing mess at the actual retreat.
Well, the good news is the retreat is there to support you. So hopefully we will do that. But yeah, when you feel helpless, especially because this is, we're at like 20,000 plus people that have been
25,000 is the last number we got.
And it really is such a stressful situation. So you can't solve everything, but a small act, a small donation, all of those things add up. So we will definitely be sharing those on our Instagram channels, Instagram, Facebook, all of the above, DM us, and we're happy to share that information with you. But, February, it's drawing to a close, and our series, Muslim Moms Aren't Nuns, wouldn't be complete unless we discussed couples dynamics. To do that, we have half of the Surviving Marriage podcast, a couple who has laughing, literally Uzma snorts until she pees. And they're at IG at Rufus and Jenny. Jenny Triplett has been married to her husband Rufus for 30 years, mashallah. And they run 3 businesses with over a decade of experience being in the media game itself. They live and work together. They actually still seem like they like each other despite that. She is the co-owner of Dowry International LLC, a multimedia company. She co-hosts their podcast. She's a TEDx speaker. She co-authored 5 books, including the bestseller Surviving Marriage in the 21st Century, as a must read on everybody's list. She has 13 tips that can help you get to 20 years and beyond. We welcome Jenny, and thank you so much for being on Momming While Muslim.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam warahmatullahi. Hey guys. Hey.
We're super excited to have you here today,
Thanks
Jenny.
so much for having me. Always love to come on platforms and give perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And your perspective is highly, highly needed in this age of where it feels like every time we turn around, somebody's getting divorced within months of getting married. So it's like, subhanAllah. And I feel like it's really relevant this week in my family. So I'm really glad you're here. But we'd like to kick off the podcast first by asking a little bit about your momming story and your momming philosophy, whatever you're comfortable sharing about your kids.
Well, I am a mom of 3, actually 4 pregnancies, 3 live births. I had a miscarriage early on, first year of marriage. We had a miscarriage, and that is challenging if anybody has ever gone through that situation. And as far as motherhood is concerned, but it also tells you a lot about yourself and a lot about the woman and the body. And for people because when you go through a miscarriage, you question a lot of things. Mm-hmm. No one, that's something no one can ever prepare you for. That's something that only people who have it grow to understand it. And there's lots of different ways to have miscarriages. So there's like a whole education, around it. Fortunately, it was within the first 6 to 8 weeks. So people who have had it where, the baby
late term are devastated.
Exactly. Yeah. Or is even stillborn, or they've actually carried the baby through, that's a whole different, it's a whole different aspect. Either way, that's something, that we had to learn and grow through together early on in our marriage. So I have 3 boys. My baby will be 30 in July.
Mashallah.
Will be 30 in July, inshallah.
Jenny will be sharing her skincare secrets at the end of this podcast.
Oh my gosh. And my middle son, he will be 31. And then our oldest, we lost him at age 27. Which is 6 years ago. Yeah.
I already heard that.
What would you say was your momming philosophy in raising your 3 boys?
Balance. I wanted to be the disciplinarian. because that's what I saw a lot of what my mom was in my household. You know, I was raised in a 2-parent household, but my mom was pretty much the disciplinarian. My husband was raised in a 2-parent household, but his dad was the disciplinarian. So that's what he did. You know, he took over the discipline. He was like, look, we're raising boys. You know, my mom, I'm the youngest of 3 girls, so my mom was raising girls. So, you know, she put the hammer down on her girls. But, you know, my husband, he's like, no, we're raising boys. Like, I got to take this. So my role was always balance and to nurture and to, when they messed up, to always give them understanding as to the choices that they made and maybe how they could do something different and how life is going to slap them in the face a lot of times. So to give them education on life, that's always been, you know, my philosophy. So
I love that. I love that. So you mentioned that you come from a 2-parent household. Is there anything else you'd like to share about your family background and relationships that worked or didn't, made you the mother that you are?
Well, my mom always told me from an early age, don't bring no babies to her house. So it was always going to be marriage and having kids. For me, going down that road. And I always wanted a tight-knit family. You know, me and my sisters, we grew up close. So I always wanted that for my children, you know, and for our inner circle and different things. As a matter of fact, I just shared a video on Instagram yesterday where Super Bowl Sunday is kind of tradition in our home where, you know, even though the boys grow up and they go away because we are empty nesters, praise God. They grow up and they go away, that we come together, you know, and we spend that time, you know, together, no matter where they are. Because my middle son is a truck driver, so he's like all over the country, like a lot of times, but he always makes sure he gets home for that.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful
I mean, you
tradition.
have to establish your own. You know, you have
sure.
to establish your own traditions and different things like that, especially as Muslims. You know, we don't celebrate a lot of these holidays and different things like that, but we can always come together as family and keep the family, you know, close.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've developed those close relationships in the family. Now, I guess the audience will be interested to know, were you raised in a Muslim household as well? Is that why your mom like slammed it down on the girls so hard?
Oh no, wasn't raised Muslim. My mom just was raised
tight. She ran tight ship.
Yeah, she was she had 9 brothers and sisters.
Mashallah, wow.
And you know, back in the day, they was having all these kids. You know,
our grandmas did too.
Exactly. My father-in-law, my husband's dad, he comes from a family of 15 siblings, 15 brothers and sisters. So yeah, that generation, you know, they were having all these kids and different things. And my grandmother, my mom's mom, she didn't play. She didn't play the radio. She was the disciplinarian as far as, you know, the children were concerned. But my mom always had like hopes, dreams, and aspirations for her girls. You know, so even though she was born and raised in the South, she was born and raised in Florida. You know, we grew up in Michigan. So it was, to her, it was getting out of that, as you want to say, I don't like to categorize it, but it is what it is. Getting out of that country mindset.
Yes.
That, you know, you're just going to be, you know, grow up in a rural area and different things like that. She wanted us to be more progressive. You know, I was raised very independent. She wanted us to be educated. She wanted us to be well-rounded. She made sure we got out, that we saw things, that it was, you know, life was more than just our block. And so that's definitely something else that I did with my children as well. We made sure that they got out and they saw the world. Yeah.
I love that. So, you know, you mentioned a little bit about how, you know, your husband came from where the father was the disciplinary, you're the maternal disciplinarian. And, you know, a lot of the times issues from in couples happen, right? Because we're all bringing our own baggage, our own customs, our own, intergenerational trauma, as that's something that I'm really obsessed with these days. How do you then, when you have two different paths that you happen to find and you fall in love and you come together, how do you then try to find and make and pave your own path as a couple? So what some of the things that you would suggest to newly married, Uzma's cousin's getting married, what would you suggest to a newly married couple that's coming from two very different backgrounds and coming together?
You have to find your way. You have to find your way. One of the hardest things for us that we argued a lot was acclimating. We never, even though we weren't Muslim, when we got married and everything, we converted maybe 7 years into our marriage. So there were a lot of years that we were not Muslim and did not, follow certain things as far as Islam was concerned. So we had to acclimate. The day we got married was the day that we moved in together. We never lived together. The day, and there was acclimation.
Yes.
Serious
there
acclimation.
Is definitely a learning curve.
Yes, serious acclimation.
Muslim or not, apparently.
And with both of us being passionate, strong-willed people, there was arguments. There was arguments as how, things were going to go. But if you can get past that, and you should be able to, if you can get past that, then you could try to find out a way. So he was very adamant on how he was going to discipline his boys. Oh. And I had to fall back as a female and as a mother and say, let's see, let's see how this is going to go. If it works. I had to do that. I had to let him be a man. I had to let him be a father, and I had to be submissive to my husband in that way.
So this is something that I think is why I, in particular, really like your account, because it addresses the difference between, I think, feminism and what Islamic feminism looks like. I think there's a stark difference, and a lot of Muslim men are talking about it right now. A close friend has started a podcast for Muslim fathers addressing this too, the emasculation of men that has happened because of Western feminism. We don't have that in Islam. And while there is equity, there is not equality. That's not what we're seeking. There is, I don't want to call it hierarchy because I know the feminists are going to come after us. I'm a feminist.
No. Call it what it is. Call it what it is. So, because even bringing my Baptist upbringing into it, which really helped me understand and accept Islam, because I had a true understanding of, Christianity. I had a true understanding of what it was. And true Christianity, and a lot of people can't even speak from this perspective.
Right.
True Christianity is a hierarchy. God, husband, wife. That's how it was created. A woman wasn't even created first. So how are you over? You want to say that you're over the man. You weren't even created first. That wasn't even that. Allah has tasked the man with so much more than the female. But in these days and times, a woman wants to be so much more than a man. And I don't understand how that could be, especially from Muslim women. If you're reading the same book, if we're all reading the same book, how we get so many different interpretations. Now I'm going to tell you something that you're missing, and some of y'all are missing, is our Facebook page be off the chain sometimes. Sometimes when I want to choose violence, I will put certain topics on our Facebook page. So the other day,
choose violence, sorry. What do you mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a 21st century term, like we about to start something.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, okay. So essentially she knows that if I post something, this is going to start a discussion, and a heated discussion. And people like myself like to have the popcorn, and we like to read all
all 300 comments, right? Okay. So there's a particular podcast. I'm not going to say any names. You guys might have seen it. And there's uno, dos, tres guys on there talking about female issues and something.
Oh, Lord of mercy.
something came on there that was really sparking it about the $50K dowry. And I'm listening.
Oh, I did see something about this. Yeah.
I'm listening, okay, and I had a few things to say and different things like that, and I had somebody hop on there and want to mansplain all my comments. So after I said what I said, and let them know that because they were saying, oh, you have a problem with what they're saying or whatever, I said, no, I actually have more of a problem, frankly, with the person that's trying to invalidate my comment. That's what I have a problem with. So I took that discussion to our Facebook page about dowries, because dowry has gotten to be something like people have turned dowry into a 401k.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that is, how it's gotten from a bridal gift, to a retirement plan.
Yeah.
I mean, it has run the gamut on that. So I chose violence a few days ago and I put it out there. And I let them know that, a reasonable dowry these days is between, $1,500 and $5,000. Pretty much was talking to the African American community because, and a lot of people say, well, why do you guys separate yourselves like that? There's no Black Muslim. There's no, I'm okay. Hold on. Hold up, Abdul. Okay.
Brown Abdul.
Hold on.
He's well-intentioned, whoever this person was, but
you're so racist, Jenny.
Yeah.
but there's some things in our community. There's a lot of things in America that we have to put up with that your grandparents only came over here in the 60s and haven't had to deal with. When my grandparents
100%.
were born here, and I'm still experiencing the systemic, things that have happened within our community.
100%.
So Bilal may not be able to chalk up a $50K dowry, when maybe your grandfather left you a whole trust fund from Saudi Arabia. It's just like, you know what I'm saying? It's like a whole different. So I was mainly speaking to my African American sisters. And of course, a lot of the brothers had to chime in like, girl, you right? So I was mainly speaking to them, letting them know we need to talk about what's reasonable for the sake of Allah.
Yes.
If you want to get married, okay? Or are you trying to be a housewife of Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
Because, that's not for you.
Yeah.
And it's not what a dowry was intended to be. So, why I do that, right? Why I do that? Because why did I do it? A lot of times I don't have time. So a lot of times I don't address things because we're busy. But I had time. I had time that day.
You made time for this. This was
made time.
You made time.
Not only did that post, but I did another post. And I did another post because we got all these things about, I don't know, I'm worth more than that. I'm worth more than that. I said, you know what? I said, if you are basing your dowry on your worth, okay,
I agree.
This is what it is, okay? First of all, you will never be able to put a monetary amount on my worth.
Yeah, I agree.
If you feel that you can put one on your worth, this is a problem because you will never be able to put a monetary amount on my worth. And I know what I bring to the table. I know what I bring as far as that's concerned. So I said in this particular post, another one, if the brother pays your dowry, what you say it is, what you want, based on your worth, we shouldn't see no divorces.
Yes.
We shouldn't see no divorces because you are bringing everything to the table based on your worth. We shouldn't see no divorces, which means that, let's take the monetary part out of it, right? Okay. So that means that you are bringing compromise. Okay. You are bringing submission. You are bringing understanding. You are bringing nurturing. You are bringing management. You are bringing faith, worship, respect, all that. You're bringing everything to the table. And if the brothers pays it, we should have no problems. There should be no divorces.
Yeah.
Why I do that? Here we go again. And this is once again the problem where dowries have gotten out of control because now here comes all these people where they're broken and they're bitter because now they want to relate dowry, money with abuse. Most of the comments on that post had to do with abuse. Well, if he's abusive or, he's narcissistic and he does it. Okay, so how did that get related with abuse? Where did that come from? Where is that relation, in regards to that? So that's the only thing.
There is a relation, right? Because I will argue this. If you,
hey, Zeba, do me one favor. Restart that, but lower the volume on your mic because you're really loud.
Oh, am I? That's so funny. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, lower it a little bit more.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay.
Go.
So I'll say this: when you
wait, sorry, that's not better. What is happening?
I literally haven't touched a thing.
Okay, does it have the volume knob on it?
It has the volume for the headphones, but not for the
actual mic.
I
don't know why you're so loud. Like I have your volume down low on my
she
end.
And she didn't change to me. It's like she sounds the same.
Yeah, I literally haven't touched anything. Like I have not.
Okay, well that's okay. I don't need 2 eardrums if one blows out.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
go for it.
No, so I'll argue this. When you assign monetary value to a person, right? You're already, and that's something you're coming from. That's as a woman, I'm like, first of all, my husband gave me a copy of the Quran. That was my dowry. So apparently that's what I'm worth. And honestly, I love that.
That's priceless.
That's priceless. And so when let's say I'm a new person and I'm like 50,000, we're going to use that 50,000 because that's the number. You're already walking in with this notion, right? Like, you better pay this in order to have me or whatever the case may be. Because for whatever reason, you're coming in, you have that idea about yourself. Honestly, I've never heard or I don't understand the whole concept of the higher dowry. It's just not in my particular wheelhouse. So you're already walking in with a slight chip on your shoulder to some degree, right? So then you're coming in this, it's a 2-party system. Now the guy is like, oh my God, I have to pay this $50,000 in order for me to get married. And for some brothers that I'm reading, they can't even afford to get married, right? So then they're in this totally separate situation. So you're already coming into a relationship, in my opinion, like in a deficit on some level, because you're assigning value to something, by the way, that wasn't supposed to be assigned that way, right? To your point, dowry was supposed to be a gift. It was given at a time and place where women didn't work or have the same types of financial opportunities that we have now. And it should not get in the way to get married, which is, by the way, half of our deen, right? As Muslim couples. So you're already walking into a situation, in my opinion, in a deficit. So I'm not surprised that there are higher rates of divorce if that's the value set we're trying to put on our girls, for instance. Or I'm a mother of 3 boys as well. I don't know how I would feel about that as a mom if my son comes up to me and he's like, oh, I love her. I want to take care of her. I want to do all this because that's how we're raising them. But I need to cut her a check for X and Y and Z. In my opinion, I'd already be coming into a situation with my back arched a little bit, if that makes sense.
Oh, I totally understand. See, but this is the problem. The whole intent and purpose was outside the door of what a dowry really is.
Right, exactly.
Because it's gotten more of a societal
expectation,
definition and expectation than what Quran and Sunnah says it's supposed to be. And when I get into these conversations with Muslims, you don't hear a lot of Quran and Sunnah.
Yes.
So I bring it back around to that. And then they have a problem with that because it's all about their feelings, what they feel it should be. Social media is a big problem with that.
Yes, I agree with that.
Because they see Khadijah over here and, oh, she got this, oh, she got that good. But who she married?
Yeah.
Who did she marry?
I agree.
Now, married 33 years ago, and I didn't even have this. I didn't even have a ring when we got married. I had commitments.
Yes.
I had commitment. But within the first year of our marriage, I did get my ring. I mean, this ring is, 30-some years old. I don't even know a lot of people who still have their dowry. You probably still have your Quran,
I
but
do.
Exactly.
It's
I
right
don't even
over
know a
there.
lot of people.
I never
Yeah.
got mine, but my husband's like, I've paid so much for you. I've paid it. I'm like, no, I actually wanted the check.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
so weird. I
so-
never got it. My Quran's there. It's fine. And
I haven't gotten
it's well loved, and I show my kids. I'm like, look, this is what your dad gave me when we got married, and they're like, okay, mom, whatever.
Yeah, and you get this monetary amount, and then you blow through it.
And then what?
Exactly. And then there's no commitment or working on
After
the marriage
that?
or anything like that. I'm telling you, the conversation just went in so many directions that we went live. We even did a live on it because it got to be so
Heated.
It tangents that it just got to be. And even with the live and some of the comments that people were saying on the live, the sister actually said, well, in all honesty, some people did forego their dowries, like lower dowries, whatever, and they tried the marriage and it didn't work out. What does that have to do with the dowry?
Probably
The dowry
it would have worked, whether you got paid or not.
Okay,
It wouldn't have worked
exactly.
out.
The dowry makes your private parts halal for one another.
Yeah.
That's what, it's saying that is for and is supposed to be. So if your marriage was consummated, guess what? You got your dowry's worth.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened. Whatever happened in your marriage, I don't know. But I do know in over 10 years of counseling, over 2,000 couples, we know it's a lot of people that's not working on their marriages.
Yes.
So no matter what your dowry is, you're not working on the marriage part.
Yeah, that's not the work part. That's like the technical part. Yeah, it's a technicality.
Exactly. And I didn't mean to dominate the conversation with the dowry, but it just really got. I mean, it just really got off the wall, and I think people need to keep that into perspective going into a marriage, and that's one of the reasons why we flipped, with the counseling, the marriage counseling, and now we're highly on the premarital side because people got it twisted.
Yeah.
I mean, they really got it twisted even going into the marriage. And a lot of the couples that we're seeing are getting the front parts wrong. I was like, no wonder y'all getting the back part wrong. Y'all can't even get the front part right.
Yeah. Got to get the engine up and running, but that is the individual work that people need to do before they ever partner with somebody, because then the both of you going down.
Yes.
If you haven't done the internal work ahead of time. So before we start talking about your premarital counseling program that you and Rufus, your husband, run, this is February and this is our love sex month. Everybody looks forward to it. I mean, our downloads are like off the charts in February, only in February. So it's like when Zaba's like, no, it's not the most popular topic. I'm like, oh, the numbers speak otherwise. This is something that I have found personally significant and required some sex therapy for, but I don't think enough people are talking about it, but it's sex. Ultimately, as somebody who's been married 33, 37 years, for you, what is the advice that you give for the couples that are in it already? Like, how do you initiate that conversation of sex? Because I feel like it becomes kind of a routine thing. You just kind of do what you do, but you don't have the conversation, the ongoing conversations I feel like are needed as we physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually change on our life journey. Well, sex does too, but it's really insanely hard to talk about with your partner. How do you get that going?
It's not really hard to talk about. It just depends on how you approach it. So let me go along the story, because you guys got me on a good day. You guys got me on the 10th anniversary of our book that we published. Our book, Surviving Marriage in the 21st Century.
There we
go.
Mashallah. A decade
we published
old.
our book 10 years.
You're booking her baby.
I know.
Yes. 10 years ago today, we published this book.
Oh,
y'all see this little book. Just look.
Yeah.
Only because we wanted a voice in the space. We were hearing all these. About 10 years ago, relationship gurus started getting
Gottman
really
and
big.
stuff. Yeah.
Like really, really big, right? So it's like, okay, well, we got 20-some years of marriage. We get a voice in the space and that type of thing, right? Had no idea what this book was going to do. It has now sold over 200,000 copies.
Wow, mashallah.
And we've been around the world. We speak around the world about marriage and divorce, all ethnicities, all races, all demographics, all just religions, all just, we had no idea. We sat here and churned this sucker out and published it 10 years ago today. And we had no idea what this book was going to do. When you get feedback from couples in Saudi Arabia, Oman, and Palestine. Palestine blew my mind.
Yeah, you're
Palestinian,
like, what?
exactly, Palestinian couple, and Sweden, and the UK, and Cuba, and just Kenya, just all around the world. It is mind blowing. Okay,
We are going to, by the way, for everybody, we're going to be sharing the link in our show notes. So you will not be able to miss out. You won't be able to miss out and be able to read it as well. And perhaps, we do a woke book club. Maybe we can have you come back on so that people that have read your book can talk to you directly.
That'd be wonderful. So, and get my husband in there too, because y'all don't want to miss him. But so this is the playbook as far as marriage, like getting marriage correct, right? So from this spark, once we got thrown into this space, all the questions started coming.
Okay.
Left, right, upside down, like, oh my God, all these questions started coming, right? One of the biggest problems that people had, intimacy.
Yes.
Intimacy.
Yeah, 120%.
Exactly. So then this book came next, the workbook to the book, right?
Oh. I didn't see the workbook. I'm literally ordering the book right now as we're talking.
Getting back to the swoon of the honeymoon. Swoon. You see, we swooning, right? We swooning. Okay, we swooning, right? Okay. So 25 ways in 25 days, which means you got to put in some work.
Yes.
This is an activity book.
I love
You got to work. You got to work. And what we found was that people are not talking to each other because they're not putting into the work. A lot of times when people were coming to us for counseling, we would sit there for 5-10 minutes and yanging.
Yeah, the back and forth. And then he says shit. Blah, blah, yeah.
This person isn't this. And we let each person talk. And whatever the problem was, it was always the other person's fault. It was always the other person's problem. But of course, we're listening and looking, and we can see what the problem is and the interaction. And a lot of couples do not have the intimacy that is needed, because you got to have outside the bedroom intimacy before you get to inside the bedroom intimacy.
100%.
And if you're at each other's throats and necks,
how are you going to develop that intimacy?
Yeah, exactly. How is that going to spill over, into the bedroom? Sex for a female is very emotional.
100%.
Sex for a man is physical.
Yes.
Our emotional understanding and fulfillment for sex comes in when we are emotionally fulfilled,
100%.
outside the bedroom. So a woman would be more submissive to a man as far as sex is concerned if they're emotionally fulfilled. And a lot of men don't get that because they're not raised to be emotionally fulfilling, for a woman. A lot of men don't even know or understand what that is.
Yeah.
I had to teach my husband a lot.
Yes.
I mean, we got married at 21. So, his emotional understanding, and he was raised in a house. He has 6 brothers.
Yeah.
He was raised around a lot of testosterone. So
you're like, that doesn't quite work for me. Sorry, buddy.
Exactly. So, and a man has the testosterone and the other side, the male and the female, and I had to get him to tune into his feminine energy. Now, mind you, I brought this up at one of our marriage workshops. We did a marriage workshop in Pittsburgh with Imam Siraj. Even Imam Siraj was like, what? He's 70-some years old. And I said, men possess female energy, feminine energy. They were not getting that understanding about that is the tender side of the male, the caring side, the nurturing side, because men are, just so, I'm the protector and I'm the provider and and everything. There has to be a softer side. You have to tune into that softer side. You get there somehow, and you just bringing all of that to bed. What? How is somebody supposed to respond to that?
Yes.
What is that supposed to do for them?
So that's the thing. So Jenny, when you obviously you have decades of experience with yourself, within yourself and your own unit, and obviously now counseling in premarital counseling. So, and I literally just ordered the book because I'm going to be reading it. I'm super excited about it. But so it seems like the communication is probably the number one thing that you would suggest people kind of, because all that kind of translates from there. If you don't have that communication or those communication skills, then everything else seems to follow that. Is that accurate to say based on what you just presented to us?
Oh yeah, definitely. How you communicate it's a really big deal, but it's the things that you do outside, because couples will tell us that they communicate. It's like, okay, how often do you talk? Now, mind you, we work.
And we're not talking about logistics, like you need to go pick up this guy and like we have those planning logistics as families and all of that, right?
Yeah,
like,
that
doesn't count this. We're talking about really talk to each other, right? And get to know each other.
Right. Now, mind you, we've worked jobs, outside of what we've done, or especially early years and different things like that. We didn't have cell phones, so we had, actually pick up the phone and call people. And exactly, and talk to each other with personal calls on your job. But now people have these cell phones. So we just talk in those terms. Like, okay, so how many times do you guys talk during the day? You're outside the home. How many times do you guys talk during the day? Oh, we text each other, little things. You might send memes, or, have you seen this video, or talking about the news and different things like that. It's like, okay, well, how often during the day do you talk about your relationship? Not really, we don't. How many times a day do you say, I love you? No, I don't think so. We've gotten so outside of the intimacy part, that when it comes to the physical need of sex, you think it's just supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. That it's just supposed to be there. But you haven't nurtured the intimacy part, the actual, exactly, in order to get there. And when you get into parenting, which we have that book too, and I don't have that book down here with me, but when we get into parenting, so much is wrapped around your children that you're negating your marriage.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of the cuddling is out the door, a lot of the playfulness that you had, as a married couple before children, a lot of things are out the door because it's so much about the kids and making sure they're okay. Well, you have to think about that. What's going to happen after the kids?
Yes.
We, at one of our first book signings, when the Surviving Marriage book came out at University of North Carolina, we had someone that came to our book signing. She had been married 20 years, and she was ready to go. She was ready to go because her husband, she said, I don't even know who this man is. Like, they had just realized after their daughter went off to college,
then you're like, just realized, now what?
Exactly, that they didn't even know, who it was. So she bought our book. I told her we would stay in touch. She took the book home, put it on the table, got up the next morning. He had stayed up all night reading the book, because he saw it when he came in. And she told us that when she got up, he told her, you need to read this book.
That's awesome.
So they're still together.
Oh, I love that.
They're still together. So we have a lot of stories like that as far as our books are concerned and different things. Oh, and then, we have the card game too.
Yes.
Like the card game.
I can't wait to play
that.
I
spoke about this.
It's waiting for me at home.
Yes, I spoke about this the other day in regards to the card game, because, of course, after the intimacy book and everything, we had to come out with the communication. Mm-hmm. The communication. And when we do marriage workshops, there's a lot of single people that come to our marriage workshop.
That's really good.
Quite a bit.
I like that.
That's a pretty good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, quite a bit that comes because they want to learn. They want to learn. They want to know. And our workshops are not, as we as Muslims, we're so used to just going and sitting, listening to lectures and different things like that. Our workshops are so interactive, and we, feed off the energy because we want to know what's going on in the communities. We want to know what's going on with you. We want to know what you're hearing. That's why we're so in tune. When people say, well, how do you guys know that? How do you know? Because we ask. We don't just go into some place and just give a lecture and leave. We need to know what's going on. We need to be boots on the ground. What's actually going on here, and what's the problem? What's the disconnect with getting married, or marriages staying married, and different things like that? And that's where we get a lot of our stories, because we find out so much. Oh my God, we find out so much. So we came out with the card game, 99 questions for one great conversation, because people are not having conversations. They will talk about, like I said, the memes, talk about what's on social media. They'll talk about the news. And you all know we went through 4 years of Trump. So you're getting all these news alerts and different things, and you're discussing and having those different things like that or whatever. But then you're not talking about your relationship. It's everything outside. Or even a husband comes home and he has to hear about what the neighbor did. What the neighbor did all day. There's nothing wrong with finding out about your mate's day. But at some point, you got to turn a lot of that off and get into each other, get into your relationship. I did a testimonial video, and I just posted that the other day too, that this sister, they're a young couple. They're still in their 20s. And they had some friends over and they were playing the card game. And she was like, oh my God. She's like, a lot of these questions we wouldn't even think about to ask as a married couple. And she said the conversation was she said, our friends just absolutely love this game. She said, the conversations, they were so deep. Those are the conversations that we need to be having, and not, a lot of stuff that we're seeing out here, stuff that's going to sustain you, stuff that's going to make you think, even before we went through the pandemic. We created this on our 30th anniversary. Just 3 years ago, going on 4 years ago this year, right? This was our 30th anniversary deal. There's a question in here about vaccines.
About sex?
Who knew that was coming? Vaccines.
Oh, vaccines. Okay. Pre-pandemic.
Who knew that was going to be? Who knew that was going to be polarizing?
Yes.
How many couples did we counsel because one wanted to get the vaccine and one did not? That was going to break up their marriage. It was. Who knew that was going to be polarizing? But it's in our card game, and it's a lot of things that's in here that was, that is really just coming out now. But that's from our experience. Yeah. We're not just gurus. I mean, we have 3 decades of experience and 10 years of counseling numerous couples and hearing different things like that. So it's from experience. That we try to teach these things.
I think that's a huge sadaqah jariyah that you're providing to the community. I think it's really, really important, especially the fact that you're preparing people who are unmarried. Like, I think everybody who's unmarried should also purchase the game. I've purchased it. I haven't played it yet, but it was with the hopes of starting those conversations with my husband. Yeah. Because, all the card games that are out there in the mainstream are really about their sex games, and it's like, those are fun, but they have their place and time, but that's like icing. Like, I want the cake. I want the cake to be real. I want it to stand up to the test of time.
I can assure you there's not one question in here about sex.
There is
not?
I
can assure you that.
Oh.
There's not one. Why? Because there's time and place. Because we have the whole intimacy book. There's time and place.
Yeah.
This is about conversation. There's 3 categories on here, for better or for worse. Those hard conversations. Would you stay or would you go? Those hard conversations, right? Okay. For richer or for poorer. We're going to talk about money, because money is big.
Money's a
huge
thing. Yep.
Thing. In sickness and in health, because people don't realize this, and this has come up so much. It came up in our marriage, right? My mom got sick from diabetes and had to move in with us. That is a huge responsibility and something to bring a parent into your home. Now, see, and this is before we were Muslim. As Muslims, it's a no-brainer. That's your mom. Paradise is at our feet. Move her in, do what you need to do, right? This is before, Islam. And not to say that it hasn't been a situation as far as with Muslims. We did a workshop at Medina Institute here in Atlanta. Full house. I don't know how many, full house, especially with couples. When we brought that, and I was just doing random, picking cards out. That question came up randomly about a parent getting sick and having to move into the home. Oh my God.
They're about to fight.
That conversation. Oh my God. That conversation went off the chain. Because as a Muslim, you wouldn't think you wouldn't think a person would have a problem, with the mother coming into, oh my God.
We come from a whole different experience, Jenny. It's going to cause a big problem.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what we grew up seeing. It's like,
goodness.
Fire going to be lit. Yeah.
Yes. And see, those are the type of conversations that you should have. With my husband, it was a no-brainer. God bless him. He said, yeah, mama can come. Not a problem. But it was a lot on us because we had to chauffeur her back and forth to dialysis. And, she wanted to see her family, tried to get her to Florida to see her family. It was a lot on us. And my boys were little at the time. I think my oldest was maybe 9 or 10 at the time, that happened. So I had what, a 10-year-old, 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old, and I got my mama.
Yeah.
Sandwich
so
generation.
It was, it was a lot, to have to do that. But she transitioned in 2002, and I look back on it like I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't have had it any other way. But that's from experience. But you got people who it ain't happened to, and they like, I wish your mama would.
Yeah.
It's a curveball at that time. So preparation is like everything. And I think that playfulness, I feel like that you're talking about in a marriage. Like, I love board games and like any kind of card games to teach my kids. I love it for myself. So why wouldn't I do it to like improve my relationship and my playfulness with my husband too? Like, if we enjoy the other mainstream card games, we're going to enjoy this too. And it's an easy thing to do in the car when you're by yourself, or even, at night for 5 minutes. Like, just pick a card, and have that conversation before bed. Yeah, pick a card, any card. And if it leads to something like spicier, way to go. And if it doesn't, like,
there you go.
It's just going to stock that spice cabinet for when you do want to do. So
we played this with his parents, who had been married 54 years before he just lost his dad. And even with 54 years of marriage, we found out some things about them. His wife, my mother-in-law, found out some things about her husband of 54 years that she didn't even know.
Wow.
So, I mean, life is a constant learning and growing, and different things. So, yeah, growing together, that's what we're all about. We need to change some things as far as this. And I can only say this because I try to stay informed of, different conversations, different things going on. That's how I know about the 50K, but different things that's going on. And I'm seeing a lot of it get worse.
Yeah.
Like, it's really getting worse. Muslims are even getting into the male-female bashing,
totally.
Bashing the brothers, bashing the sisters, different things like that. And I really feel that we're on a slippery slope right now, that in 20 years, we're not going to see marriages. We're going to see a lot of broken branches.
Interesting. I don't disagree, actually. I don't disagree with that, unfortunately. Sad. It's a sad way to end. But if people get your book, if people start putting in the work, and I'm a big proponent, like, of premarital counseling, huge. I've already, as my oldest is going to be 20, I'm already like, if you find you guys, this is the basic necessity thing that you have to do before getting married. And so I think if we're going to try to start some of these programs, if we have more people like you and Rufus, like, I think hopefully we can kind of push that in a different direction, inshallah. That is our goal and our intent for having these types of series, so that we can learn from one another. So we definitely appreciate you coming and letting us know about your history and and everything that your experience, because I know my husband and I are going on almost 25 years, mashallah. We grew up together, and I tell people, and we had this story. My daughter, I was telling Uzma before you came on, my daughter was like, "Mom, you don't show blah, 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 blah attention and da, da, da. I'm like, honey, we're not a romance novel. We're not a movie on TV or the TikTok meme or the this and that. But,
or the TikTok couple.
Or a TikTok couple. But, your dad feels that when my energy is just off or I shift in my mood and he will come in to try to talk to me or vice versa with me. And I said, honey, that's the long term. That is what true love is, because you go through the trenches, you don't have the best things happen and you can still work through them. But to your point, it's extremely hard work. And a lot of it starts with yourself. Understanding who you are, what you're doing, what the role you play in a couple dynamic, whether it's the mom role, whether it's the sister role, whether it's the wife role. So I love that you're creating these conversations for people. And I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, we have to definitely get to young people because, they're fighting over passwords and 50-50.
I mean,
I can't even
do you let your husband look at the blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, I don't have a password on my phone because I have nothing to hide. It's like, I have nothing to hide.
Our phones back and forth all the time, all day, or whatever the case the situation is. They're fighting. And I can't even believe I hear Muslim conversations. They're fighting over 50-50. Like, who's going to take? And I always say I go back to, and it shuts down. See, I'm like when I enter the conversation, where did the law say 50-50?
Yeah, that's not Sharia.
And what does 50-50 mean, right? Like to every family, it means something different. Like it's a tit for tat thing that doesn't make sense for me.
And then I chime in and let them know, y'all sitting over here fighting over passwords and 50-50. Y'all ain't even got to menopause and prostrate. Prostate. So
that's a fun time, by the way.
I can't even imagine, how you can navigate that conversation when you can't get past passwords of 50-50.
Literally.
Well, I mean, this is lots of food for thought, especially at the close of this month. And we hope that everybody does their homework because we're not very far. We're just around the corner from Ramadan where, not having a lot of sex in that month unless you're super creative and like very good at time management. So I think it's important to get your homework done before Ramadan comes.
We have a whole podcast on that. Surviving Ramadan with your spouse.
Sex in Ramadan.
Surviving Ramadan.
It is an art form, I think.
It's one of our it's one of our top downloaded episodes.
Sure, it's an issue. People are tired and hungry.
Yeah,
I'm intermittent fasting, man. Don't make me do more work.
But see, it's always about preparation because it's one of those things that we as Muslims, it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming every year. It's coming, and then a lot of us
conversations, play the game,
and anticipate, and different things like that. So everybody is always making these posts and doing their goals and saying what they want to do during Ramadan. How about work on your relationship? How about that?
Yeah, that's a great goal for the month. That's a great goal. I love that.
Yeah. ISA, the Islamic Social Service Association of America, is actually, it's I guess under ISNA, and they're based out of the state where I live. And every Ramadan, they have a Happy Muslim Marriage Weekend. And that weekend, they offer a lot of counseling courses. And I think I've even been to an iftar once that they hosted in Ramadan because they're like, hey, don't forget that your relationship with Allah is like prime in Ramadan, but like part of your contract with Allah is this contract that you made of marriage. So make sure that you fulfill all of your contracts this month. And I just think it's a beautiful initiative that they put together. But while this conversation has been awesome, Jenny, we've been talking a lot about your work. We want to talk about Jenny and get to know Jenny better. So we like to close our podcast with a little fun segment we call Rapid Fire, where we ask a bunch of questions in 90 seconds. And top of mind, first answer is always the correct answer. But it helps us know who Jenny is a little bit better. Are you ready?
Yeah, hit me with your best shot. Okay.
Jenny's born ready. She knows how to do this. So I'm going to put 90 seconds on the clock. And I bet nothing scares you anymore, right? Nothing.
No.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, I didn't do this. Like, with eyes closed. But we like to kick off by asking, what book are you reading right now?
I'm actually writing a book right now.
Oh,
we're in the middle of,
that's a new one. Even better.
we're in the middle of we have two children's books that we're working on, and I actually just last night found the illustrator.
Oh, mashallah,
so
congratulations.
hopefully, yeah, thank you.
That's a big deal.
So hopefully, within the next week or so, we'll be posting the cover,
Okay.
of it, and it is it's a tribute to our son, our oldest son that we lost.
Yeah.
And I'll just go ahead and I'll share the title. His name was Michael. We called him Mikael, the angel. And it's going to be My Name is Michael, and say your name in 20 languages.
Oh.
Michael is a very universal name.
Mm-hmm.
So in all of the languages, like in Spanish, it's Miguel, and in Arabic it's Mikael, and in different languages it's Michael. So it'll be a book about for children to learn internationally about saying their name.
That's beautiful. I love that. That is so
What an
unique,
amazing
and I can't
tribute.
wait. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. How do you recover from that question? Oh my God.
I know.
I'm gonna pick another one. Since we're talking about languages, what if you could learn any language like today? What would it be in one day? If you could learn it, what?
Child, if I could blink and know Arabic like fluently,
that would be awesome.
I would absolutely love to be able to do that,
Mm-hmm.
because even with being we were approached about going to Turkey or Syria and helping out with different things like that over there.
Mm-hmm.
They speak fluent Arabic.
Yeah.
I'm like, we'd probably have a translator with us, but for us to be able to do it and to just be able to give it back.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something, another thing, once I said, people talk about, you guys don't, Black Muslims, whatever. They have to realize that we weren't given that.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't given that in our homes.
Yeah.
We weren't given that in schools.
Right.
We weren't given that here. We grew up with one language.
Yeah.
We had some choices in schools for maybe Latin or French, Spanish. I took,
languages.
a year of Spanish, different things, but we weren't given that, not by family, or anything. So we have some differences, cultural differences.
I agree with that. Absolutely. Arabic would be my choice too. So, another question is, what is the most important thing in your wallet or purse?
My lip gloss.
Your lip gloss. Yes,
Yeah,
I did see
I love that.
Yes, I got it right here with me. You know how hard it is, and it's dry. We're in dry season.
Yeah, I get you. I always carry chapstick in my pocket too. And then I guess this one is a fun one. The honey trap at the store. Like, what is your impulse buy at checkout? When they have all that stuff like right there. Where is it?
Yeah.
At like Ulta and the grocery store.
It would be something that fit into my purse. I'm not. I know a lot of people, they love chocolate. I'm not a big chocolate eater. I really don't care for a lot of candy. I got gum in my purse, probably 2 years old.
Ew, throw that out. It's gonna break your teeth.
I end up passing it out to people. But
you're like, here's the 2-year-old gum you asked for.
I don't like that person. Eat my gum.
You don't preface it as 2 years old. You just say, I got some gum in my purse.
They're like, sure, let's take the fuzz off. Here you go.
Oh, gross.
It would be probably something that would fit in my purse. Something that's an emergency need that would fit into my purse.
Like
because when you get up in age and different things like that, you always like to be prepared for something.
I have travel size Tylenol now.
I love it. I have that because I get it from.
I have a leave. I have the Vicks inhaler. I have salt and pepper. I have hot sauce.
My daughter carries hot sauce everywhere too. That's so funny.
Yeah. If I ever find the to-go olive oil, I have the olive oil packages in my purse. Yeah. Well,
you can make yourself a salad dressing anywhere you go.
Awesome. Well, Jenny, thank you so much for sharing more of yourself with us, more about Rufus and Jenny and the Surviving Marriage podcast, book, card game, everything that you guys have developed to help what we think is a foundation of our ability to motherhood, which is having a good partnership, a strong partnership that helps us be better mothers and serve our kids better, serve our God better. we love that you're out there in the space, and we can't wait to see you in the future and work with you in the future, inshallah.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for having me. And I pray the best for everyone in their marriages, because, that is family. Family is everything, and it's how we learn and how we grow and how we teach for future generations.
Are you a real estate agent? There's no better time than now to tap into this growing market by becoming a member of Guidance Home Services pre-screened real estate agent referral network. Join Guidance Residential's live digital panel discussion Tuesday, February 28th at 12 p.m. Eastern. Look on our socials to register for free.